When you're investing in real estate, you have to look from top down, understanding what are the urban planners thinking and where the stakeholders, like the government, are injecting their funds into. Hey everyone, it's KS here. In this mini series, I'll be going through the 2019 concept plan, master plan review, and sharing the types of urban transformation that are good for investment. Get your notes ready and enjoy. Guys, when we invest, right, we gotta look from top down. That means what are the urban planners thinking and what are the stakeholders like the government are also injecting their funds into as well. All right, so over here we'll have a bit of understanding what are they thinking. So here we talk about a concept plan, which is what we saw just now based on the Marina Bay 1991 concept plan. Basically, it's a strategic land use and transportation plan to plan Singapore for the next 20 to 30 years, okay? And then we also have the master plan. The most recent one was in year 2019. And basically, it is a further detailed implementation of concept plan that plans Singapore for the next 10 to 15 years. And of course, whenever you put it out in the public, it's every 5 years. All right, so the next master plan will be coming out in 2024. So regional centers. So what is regional centers? Okay, regional centers are basically second-tier commercial zone after the main CBD precinct in the central area, and it basically is about a size of 15 times the size of a normal town center of a HDB town. Approximately serve up to 800,000 people in each region. And the main function of it is to decentralize the congestion of the CBD. And there are basically 4 regional centers in Singapore. The very first one, which is Tampines Regional Centers, that were first introduced in 1992. The next one we have is the Jurong Lake District that was first introduced in year 2008. And then the third one we have is actually Woodland Regional Centers were introduced about year 2013. And then we have the pre-mature one, which is the Seletar Regional Centers that were introduced about year 2015. But sad to say, because this is mainly targeted at aerospace and aerospace industry is badly hit, I will not touch so much about Seletar Regional Centers in today's topic, all right? Then we also have sub-regional centers as well. Bishan being the last master plan in 2019, they have been earmarked Bishan as the next sub-regional center. If you do not know what is sub-regional centers, just to share, Paya Lebar Central was also earmarked as a sub-regional center in year 2013 master plan. So when that was being introduced, what happened? We saw that there's a rejuvenation of the SingPost. There's also the Paya Lebar quarters, which is what was introduced today. And we see prices shoot up as high from $1,400 per square foot to today, $2,000 or even $2,200 per square foot, just because of these sub-regional centers being earmarked by the government. So Bishan will be very exciting. In fact, in recent days, we also saw a land bid in Ang Mo Kio went up as high as $1,118 per square foot. And I would think that this so-called bidding was also initiated highly because of this transformation, okay? And then we also had One North in the good old days as well, with it makes up of the Biopolis, Fusion Police, and Media Police also, okay? And also, government then later come up with this thing called the R&D and innovation clusters in Singapore. So in the northern eastern side, we have the Punggol Digital District, which envision themselves to be the next Silicon Valley of Singapore, right? And in the western side, we actually have the Jurong Innovation District, where the government pumps in $4 billion from the research and innovation grant. All right, and it's a 600 hectares of land stretching from Tengah all the way to NTU. All right, and then in the 2019 master plan as well, we also introduced this new initiative called the Dover Knowledge District. If you look at the master plan, this is just beside ACSI and also the One North MRT train station. So with that in mind, what we are looking at here is a very exciting 3 white sites coming up. So likely to be manifested over the next 7 years or so. And then of course we have the One North precinct that I shared with you earlier on, and it has been ongoing to continue to be robust. And basically there's 7 phases of so-called this particular plan of the Biopolis area. Right now we are only at phase 6. There's actually 13 phases to go. All right. So we then talk about the economic key growth, economic gateways and key growth area. So what happened shortly after? The URA planners then merged the R&D innovation clusters and the regional centers, and then they call it the economic gateways and key growth area. So in the northern part of Singapore, we have Punggol Digital District merging with the Woodland Regional Center, and they call this the Northern Gateway. In the western side of Singapore, they are the Jurong Innovation District merging with the Jurong Lake District, and they right now call it the Western Gateway. Okay, and along, of course, with the Tuas Megaport as well. Okay,
and then Western Gateway. In the central side, with the southern side, we actually have the relocation of the four ports, Brani, Tanjung Pagar, Keppel, and also Pasir Panjang, all the way to the western side, and also 9,000 new homes that will be injected here given the Greater Southern Waterfront Initiative, okay? And in fact, out of these 9,000 new homes, HDBs are among the 9,000 new homes. And we also see a sensory-scape hotel they will be introducing on Brani Island. I wouldn't say hotel, it's actually a resort that will be coming in as well, okay? So very exciting plans over here. And then they call this merger called the Central Gateway. And then in the eastern side of Singapore, we have the relocation of the airbase all the way to the Changi precinct. All right, and we also have the Changi East Region Initiative, where mainly we talk about the introduction of the Jewel Airport along with Terminal 5, and also the Changi Urban District that's coming up, and also the Changi Business District and Singapore University of Technology Design, forming an ecosystem. All right, and they call it the Eastern Gateway. What I've just shared over the last so-called a good half an hour or so, okay, just half an hour gone, everything is not applicable anymore, okay? You guys should confirm same by this time, okay? Because government then come out with this thing called the urban transformation, okay, which is what I'm going to be touching with you right now, okay? So topic number 3, we are here right now, called the urban transformation. And what is this urban transformation, okay? In fact, you're going to URA website, you should be able to find this thing. In fact, I've just basically dissect the entire URA website for you, except the urban transformation. So let's dive into it. What does it do and what is it? So basically, urban transformation is basically targeted at key growth area for economic growth, okay, which is that so-called merging of the R&D innovation clusters and also the regional centers, all right? So what are the plans or action plans that it denotes? This action plan is not found in URA. This is what I have actually deciphered after I go through the entire website. So what it means is that the first initiative is relocating our existing assets for new urban planning. That's what they do. And for this kind of transformation, right, it will take the longest to actually take place. Something like the Greater Southern Waterfront, where they shift the 4 ports all the way to Tuas, and this will take 20 to 30 years. And just like how Marina Bay was first reclaimed when it was an empty land and then becomes a reclaimed land and become what it is today. This kind of transformation, a lot of people say that, hey, no longer, I wasn't born, or I wasn't 21 years old when the sale was launched, so I missed the boat. Guys, there's no missing boat. This is the transformation that we are looking at right now, as massive as how Marina Bay was first so-called reclaimed, all right? So this initiative is very important. It's just as important as the other side, which is Paya Lebar relocation of the airbase, which is 800 hectares of land. Okay, so do take note. This is where we can enjoy the growth level of Marina Bay again. So the next one we see is introduction of new township and business center. This is something very real. You talk about a good, maybe in year 2013, okay, about 8 years ago, there was this new township that was introduced in the master plan called the Bidadari town, right? So when that town was introduced, we was sitting on top of a cemetery, right? A lot of people say cannot buy, but because in some, of course, we have some group of people say that Bishan last time also sit on cemetery, right? Buy sure what. So whoever that bought actually make a lot of money, and Bidadari today is so hot, okay? So who would think so 7 years ago, today, it's going to be like $2,300 per square foot, right? Being one of the most expensive integrated development in the area right now, okay? So this is one of the township we are looking at. And of course, business center, something like Punggol Digital District. And of course, in the good old days, you want to compare with Changi Business Park, okay? Then the third thing what we have is actually rejuvenating our existing infrastructure for extensive urban planning. So this is something that we talk about, like maybe the Woodland Regional Center, which was first introduced in year 13, a mature estate, and right now they are extending its further blueprint for its rejuvenation plans. So this is something only happens for mature areas, something like Jurong Lake District as well in today's context, okay? So if you were to put them into measurable so-called timeline and milestone, okay, so the fourth one what we have here is called revitalizing existing heritage and recreational spaces. The fourth one over here is basically something like preserving heritage spaces like Kampong Glam, for example. And this initiative, just to share, doesn't really create any catalyst for price appreciation. So number 4, I'll still put it in because it is still part of the urban transformation dictionary. If you were to go in, you will be able to see it on URA plan, but it doesn't create much appreciation, so to speak. So do take note of this for action plan number 4. So I will not talk so much about action plan number 4 because today we are just going to talk about what are the action plan that will help you make money as an investor. All right. So here, Urban Transformation Initiative, these are those that is found on the URA website. Okay, and those at the bottom is what I have deciphered as well based on URA action plan. All right, based on the 3 action plan that we talked about just now. So at the top itself, before I go into it, these 2 falls under action plan number 4. So I will not talk much about it because it doesn't boost price appreciation. So those I've shared just now also will not touch much about it. So we are talking about Changi region, we did skip that. Greater Southern Waterfront, skip that. We have Kallang River and Kampong Bugis. Very interesting, 9.2 hectares of land stretching from Stadium Boulevard all the way to ICA building. Okay, so over here, if you look at the master plan, all the show flat that you are sitting on, like Penrose, Antares, all these show flat, and also Mayor Rise, if I'm not wrong. All these show flat are actually sitting on white side right now. Okay, so if you look at the master plan, that land is actually very, very expensive. Okay, and to share, there will be 4,000 private homes, just private homes, that will be introduced into this precinct. Okay, and over the spread of next 10 to 11 years. Okay, so over here itself, we are talking about the new township initiative. Very, very interesting. And rumor has it that ICA is also relocating as well. Okay, so that one I'm not too sure, but they are actually barricading up the car park already at this current point. So next thing we then talk about Bayshore Town. Very interestingly, 60 hectares of land. So Bayshore Town itself basically sits beside this Bayshore MRT train station that will be up and running very soon. Okay, and this Bayshore Town itself, you don't know how big is 60 hectares. Is basically you just look one box down, you have Bidadari Town. Okay, we are almost the same size, or not bigger than Bidadari Town. Okay, and in this township itself, we have 12,500 new homes that will be sitting in this land of 60 hectares. Okay, and out of which 6,500 will be private housing, 6,000 will be HDB housing. Okay, and it's very rare to have HDB housing to be seated right beside so-called the seafront facing unit. Okay, so prices of this HDB are rumored to also be very expensive as well, just like those in Dawson. Okay, so we also have the Rail Corridor. Rail Corridor itself, very interestingly, in the Upper Bukit Timah precinct, we see that how prices have shot up crazily because of Rail Corridor and the Beauty World Integrated Transport Hub actually comes together. All right, so in the Rail Corridor area, we see that there will be a new MRT called the Hume MRT that will be introduced outside Hume Park 1. So this is something we talk about in given the downtown core line, okay, which is the blue line coming down from all the way from the northern side all the way to the CBD precinct. That we are seeing this new MRT being introduced. In fact, the line has been there for the longest time, since 2015, but it was a shell station. So what we are looking at is that probably the next repeat of Woodley or not Bidadari Town that will be happening in the Rail Corridor area. So very exciting plans. Do look out at the master plan for that. And moving forward, Woodland I touched about it, Punggol I touched about it. At the bottom itself, we also have the Ophir Rochor Corridor. Very interestingly, and we talked about before the circuit breaker back in 2019. What happened was that we even had the launch of the M Residences by Wing Tai sold very, very well. In fact, we saw 70% sold in the first day. And right after that so-called relaxing of the so-called COVID measures, we then have the next launch called the Midtown, right? Okay, so that Midtown development itself also sold very well. We saw that it went as high as 2,006 per square foot and sold as many as 70% during the launch day itself. That was by Buko Land. So both development has showcased that this area is hotly contested. And why is it so? Because in the good old days, before COVID days of course, we actually showcased our Formula One race in this precinct. And it's one of the highlights internationally for Singapore also. All right. So in order to own a view of that, it's very, very exciting for many people. It's like a collector's item. So at the bottom itself, we then see Tengah New Town. Very interestingly, 700 hectares of land, very big. In fact, almost as big as the Paya Lebar Air Base also. So there will be more than, as of now, there's more than 10,000 BTOs being introduced here already. And they are following the forest theme HDB flat, so to speak. Okay, so very exciting plans here. Price will shoot up like crazy because it is also part of the initiative of the Jurong Regional Line, part of the LTA Master Plan in 2013. So do look out for that also. All right. So Novena Health City, one of the more mature area. We see that if you look at the master plan behind Quality Hotels, we have the CDC, right? Communicable Disease Center. They will all be relocating because if you look at the master plan, it has been rezoned as residential site along Momain and also this Balestier route. Okay, so that itself will give you some level of so-called excitement here, because it's been a while since we see prime area as such being opened up for more land to be bidded, all right, of the government land too. Okay, because Balestier area and Novena area are mostly by freehold properties. And then of course we then talk about the beauty word integrated transport hub. And what is integrated transport hub? A lot of people are saying, basically you have an integrated development, you have underground links, and you're able to connect the underground links seamlessly between the bus interchange to the MRT, and then of course to your so-called residential unit and commercial unit. So that's what it means. And this itself, plus the cross island line that will be cutting through here in year 2030 onwards, actually created the price of Upper Bukit Timah to shoot as high as 2004, given the recent launch called The Link, and it was fully sold within like what, 1 weekend or 2 weekends. Very crazy. Okay.
I hope you enjoyed this mini series. If you are gaining tons of value just from this video alone, you wouldn't want to miss out on the rest of the mini series. So stay tuned and I will see you again.